Grace Clairville by Alexis Lewis.
Modesty, Giles Squeak, is becoming to a young man, and so is a small appetite. Hand me the toast, Giles. Learn wisdom when you can, and don't eat fast at your meals. Give me a cup of tea, Giles. Some are born with a wooden spoon in their mouth, and some with a silver one. Thou art the lucky number. The fortune hath placed thee with me. And know, Giles, know, I say, that the shadow of a great man covereth our little ones.
May I have a bit more bread and butter, worthy master?
Bread and butter, Giles. Verily thou art one of those who are only born to consume. Hand me the toast, Giles. Fuit itium, fly the evil, as the poet says, for the fat of belly, the lean of wit. Or, as Horace has it, gutta cavat lapidem. Bread and butter. Why don't you eat some?
Master, some folks call thee wise, and others say thou art a fool. Why aren't they all of a mind?
Giles, to fools all things are foolish. Give me some more toast and tea. Whilst to the wise, everything is wisdom. Take some tea thyself, Giles. To the wise man, wisdom cometh like the 7 plagues did to the Egyptians, without asking. And he that is wise, Squeak, knows how to play the fool at the right time.
Verily, verily, much respected master, I will henceforth believe in thy experience.
Experience maketh fools wise, Giles, so don't despair, for thou mayest yet be a Solomon. Put away the tea things. Once, I was the lowest member of the church and used to run off errands for the sexton, but now I'm hoisted to nearly the same level as the parson himself, for I am parish clerk, which is only one shelf below him. Giles, from me, thou hast pilfered ambition.
Verily, I took only 3 sugar lumps.
Lumps, ambition and lumps, idiot. I spoke to thee in figures, meaning that thou hadst profited by my example, and art walking in my footsteps.
I've done my best, wise and learned master, and when I've seen thee take 6 out of the poor box, have always taken a penny myself.
Sacrilegious, Squeak. Learn, knave, that one man may steal a horse when another mustn't look over the hedge. I robbed Peter to cover Paul. I took from the poor to give to the poor again.
That's what I did too, worthy master. I took from Peter and Paul and gave to Giles.
Squeak. They are wise, who can give a reason for their actions, but remember, a man may buy gold too dear. Retire to my study, Squeak, and clean my boots. Give an extra polish to the knob of my staff. I shall want it on Sunday. And Giles, forget not that silence is a golden virtue.
I understand, worthy master. Giles is dumb.
Mum, about the 6.
Oh, hello, Miss Bridgit.
Yes, hello, Giles.
Necessitas non habet leges. Necessity and love have long legs, Bridgit. My everlasting honeysuckle. My heart is on my lips.
Then I'm sure 'tis just like the berry of the dog rose, all prickly. Ugh, you haven't shaved today.
Ah, weeds grow apace, my dear. The beard is only a weed, which will sprout and flourish in the garden of a manly face.
I wish you'd get somebody to weed your garden then, sir. I'd as soon be kissed by a scrubbing brush.
Oh, love maketh the heart glad, the blood all tickly like.
There, that'll do for once, Obadiah. When we are married, you may do it as often as you like. But I haven't any time to lose. I come on purpose to tell you about the goings-on up at the house.
Oh, nihil novum sub solem. What is stirring under the sun, as my friend Socrates has it?
Oh, there, don't talk to me in Latin. But let me say my say and go, will you?
Say on, then, thou sublime and beautiful specimen of the feminine gender.
You know that, a fortnight ago today, Mr. Edgecombe and his lady, Miss Grace, went with Mr. Edmond to see Dame Humphreys. She's mad, you know, Obadiah. Well, Dame Humphreys said something to Mr. Edgecombe that drove him as mad as a March hare. So she and Mr. Edgecombe had a grand tiff about it. And Mr. Edmond says that Mr. Edgecombe confessed to him that he had murdered Mabel Humphreys.
Oh, murder, like love, will out.
Well, Mr. Edmond couldn't keep the secret. It made him so unhappy. And so he went and told all about it to the justice.
Justice is often like a dishonest merchant. His scales are even enough because everybody can see him, but he uses light weights. And some customers get halfpennies worth instead of pennies worth.
I don't know anything about that, Obadiah, but I know that the justice came to the house with a lot of gentlemen, and Mr. Edgecombe was examined, and so was Mr. Edmond. But Master swore he never said anything of the sort to Mr. Edmond.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating, Bridgit.
Proof. That was it. Now, Mr. Edmond told the justice that Mr. Edgecombe told him where the murder was committed. Here, in the Yat Wood, and the body was buried under an old elm. Well, they searched there and all over the wood, everywhere, and they couldn't find anything. So, of course, Master came off with flying colours.
The snake in the grass biteth deeper because he is not suspected.
Well, that's what everybody calls Mr. Edmond, snake in the grass. He swore that he told the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and tried to persuade the gentlemen so. But they wouldn't believe him and said that he ought to be ashamed of himself for bite-backing his friend and trying to swear his life away. Nobody will speak to him anymore.
What is pretty Bridget's opinion of this weighty affair?
Why, I say Mr. Edmond couldn't invent such a wicked lie. I don't mean to say that Master did murder Mabel Humphreys, but I'm sure he looks as if he could murder anyone. Poor Mr. Edmond. He's so cut up, Obadiah, you can't think. And so is Miss Grace. I shall never be able to call her anything else. I am sure that they're in love with each other. But I must run away, for I've got to get a message to Dame Humphreys.
Bridget, it is not good for a woman to be alone. Wait till I fetch my coat and cocked hat and I'll see you safe to the cottage.
And I'll give you a benefit of a little exercise, Mr. Obadiah. Catch me if you can.
Eh? What? Oh, walks. Oh, verily then. I must make a virtue of necessity and walk after her.
My brain whirls with fevered frenzy. My eyes grow dim, and through the film which covers them, I behold the grave. The sombre grave, yawning to engulf. Oh, horror. Must I then die a slanderer? Must my memory be branded with blackest infamy? I who lived but for fame. I cannot do it. 'Tis a fearful moment, the struggling with nature between life or death. Death. What said I? There is no death. Death is life. Life in another sphere where all is peace and harmony and love. Death, I fear it not, but I do fear to appear thus unsummoned before my Maker. 'Tis over. I will not do it. There! 'Tis there again. The pallid form of Mabel Humphreys. It beckons me. It smiles on me. It speaks. My ears are stunned. I cannot distinguish its words. Speak out, thou unreal thing of another world. Speak out and make thy mouthings intelligible. Tell me why thus thou hauntest my solitude, making life and wakefulness a terror. Speak, I say, or return to the charnel house. where thy bones lie mouldering in unholy sepulchre. Wilt thou not speak? Justice, sayest thou? Have I not sought it for thee? Justice, sayest thou? Gone again. Oh, misery. Misery thus to be the baby toy of my own overwrought imagination. I cannot bear it. I cannot live thus. Away hope. Away the life to come. The slightest touch, a breath, and the wide abyss between this world and the unknown realms is crossed at once.
Suicide? His death would prevent him from babbling my secret, but I must not see him die.
Yet, ere I touch this fatal wire, let me bestow one thought on thee, the idol of my hope, my fondest hope, on thee, Grace.
What's this?
I have loved thee with the ardour of a virgin love, and ere thou wert another's, secretly hoped for bliss with thee. Those days of joy and hope and happiness are faded, gone forever. Never did thy lips betray thy secret, but thou lovest me too. Aye, as now thou hatest me. Me, the man who slandered thy husband. Adieu, love. Adieu, hate. Adieu, all worldly emotions. Grace, adieu. Heaven bless thee with its choicest gifts, and prove me thy lover worthy of praying for thee. Hubert, I forgive thee.
Drop the gun! Drop it! What rashness! What desperation is this? Art thou mad also?
Horrible man, why standest thou between me and death? Thou who hast embittered my life, and made me desire death as a mercy.
Death? Tut, tut. Art thou fit to die? Wouldst thou have the world believe thee guilty of slander?
By heaven, no. But thou hast roused the sleeping lion within me. Traitor, what prevents me from taking thy miserable life instead of my own? Why should I not wreak my vengeance on thee?
Why? Well, I would haunt thee. Thou shouldst have 2 phantoms instead of 1. I would be a fleeting spectre between thee and thy daily occupations. I would sit with thee, eat with thee, dwell with thee. Didst thou love, I would woo with thee. Didst thou marry, I would stand at the altar between thee and thy bride. Waking, thou shouldst see me. Sleeping, thou shouldst dream of me. Thou shouldst hold me with more communion than a beloved mistress or a wife. Wilt thou not kill me now?
Man of terror, why dost thou persecute me? Have I wronged thee or thine, and this is thy revenge? 'Tis thou hast wronged me, irreparably wronged me.
True, and my regret is bitter, more bitter than gall and wormwood.
Infamous mockery! Why then deny the bloody tale thou did pour into my ears? Or telling it, why did thou lie?
I told no lie. All was truth.
Yet thou did deny the truth.
Life, to a dying man, is like the saving plank to the shipwrecked mariner. Life is necessary, if not for joy, for opportunity of repentance. Wouldst thou have had me hang like a dog? Disgrace my kindred, dishonour myself?
Yet me thou did dishonour. Why? Why did thou tell me of thy crime?
Why doth the parched tongue cry for water? My secret was held to me. It burnt in my breast, scorched my very vitals, and racked me in its fierce struggles to escape. It burst from me like lava from an overgorged volcano. I was compelled to set it free, or lived damned. Damned.
Fearful, dreadful struggle. And now, Hubert, listen to me, and lend me thy pity. From boyhood have we grown up, and lived friend, thou wealthy heir to an ample estate. I, the humble orphan, without kindred, patrimony, or even a name. What sought I? Fortune, gain. Daily, nightly, hourly, I toiled to attain it. And already our little circle spoke of me as likely to reap glory for my country and laurels for myself. For years and unremittingly did I pursue my solitary labours. I shunned the society that sought me, foregoing those enjoyments, those pleasures, which are the marrow of other men's existence, sacrificing the sweets of actual life for the hopes of glory in an undying name, the sole legacy I had to bequeath. This was my position but a short month since, and this didst thou know. In a moment, without reason, on a whim, a caprice, didst thou blast my bright visions of immortality. Thou hast overthrown my hopes, rendered my labours fruitless, destroyed me. Sympathy meets me not, commiseration shuns me. Instead of love, I find hate. Instead of esteem, contempt, curses instead of praise. I am branded as a liar. I sought fame, I enjoy that of a villain. I coveted reputation, society banishes me. My life is without charm. Death was surely a relief.
Well, go on. My ears are still open.
I will go on, and I implore thee, Hubert, return to honour by restoring me to happiness. I am content to renounce those bright hopes which have hitherto dimpled my life with smiles. I am content to live in exile. Assure me thou art innocent of this horrid crime. Free me from the gibbering spectre that is ever present at my side, that slumbers on my couch, that refuses to quit me. Assure me thou art not a murderer, and I will gladly sink into oblivion.
Lennox, I repeat my former tale. I am a murderer. With these hands I strangled her. With these hands did I remove all traces of our deadly struggle.
Thou hast done then. Thou hast confessed thyself no liar, and yet thou art a liar.
Bravely determined. And now come with me. Thou must be reconciled to one whose esteem is perhaps dearer to thee than the world. Nay, start not. Look not so. I speak of Grace.
Thou would again torture me with thoughts of the past? How shall I bear her presence? Her, the wife of him whom the world believes I have slandered. I will not go.
Nay, but thou shalt go. I will myself be the forerunner of thy presence, and my welcome shall ensure thee hers. Come.
As thou wilt, but I enter not unless at her request.
I cannot believe but that some dark, unfathomable mystery enshrouds this horrible affair. Edmond, a slanderer, or my husband a murderer, to me either thought is misery. Oh, heaven, why is my life rendered so wretched, so very, very wretched? Struggling between love, yes, love for Edmond, and my duty to my husband. My bosom is an everlasting prey to the most conflicting emotions. Why do I feel so acutely the infamy of a comparative stranger, whose innocence can be established only on the shame, the ignominy of my husband? And yet my heart acquits thee, Edmond. Thou art incapable of treachery. Quiet, quiet heart. Beat not for him, or I must die.
Ever weeping, Grace? Ever melancholy? By heaven, thy very wretchedness is contagious and grows irksome to me.
Tears relieve the overcharged heart, Hubert, and mine will ever flow whilst they have cause.
This is folly, childishness. Thou art still suffering tears of joy that I am acquitted?
Wert thou not my husband, I could wish thee not acquitted, for the sake of him who is condemned.
Grace, thy sympathy is engaged in behalf of a very worthy person.
Such a taunt is unbecoming, sir. Edmond Lennox was once worthy of my warmest sympathy, if he is not now.
Nay, why not?
Why? Canst thou ask me why? Has he not sought thy life? Has he not sought to blacken thy name?
Even so, but such conduct may be excusable.
What mean ye? Explain.
This I mean. 'Tis said Edmond Lennox loves thee.
It is indeed, sir.
Nay, more. I know he loves thee, for I surprised his secret.
Go on. For pity's sake, make an end.
Well then, 'tis said he sought my life thus, that he might, with honour, pay suit to thee.
I can never attribute his crime to so dark, so villainous a motive. If it be so, however, I never gave him encouragement. Believe me.
I said not so, Grace. But yet, you love this man, is it not so?
The question is direct and exacts a like answer. Thou knowest, Hubert, that I never loved thee. My hand I gave thee, but not my heart. The vow I made at the altar I have religiously kept, and the virgin faith I there promised thee is as spotless now as then.
I believe thee, Grace, but go on.
When I pledged you my troth, Edmond was a dear friend. That friendship subsequently grew into esteem. The esteem warmed into love. Aye, love. A few days since. I loved him, I loved Edmond Lennox. But now I banish him from my memory forever. I have told you all.
Grace, I know thee pure as virgin gold, nor do I fear thee, but tell me why thy sentiments towards him are so changed.
I have told thee already, I have nothing to add.
Then, were he proved innocent, thou would love him again?
I should. But in pity, Hubert, spare my feelings. Spare them for the sake of delicacy. My duty bade me conceal naught from thee. My duty bids me remain henceforth silent on this subject.
But I tell thee, he loves thee, Grace, and no two on earth are better than he and thou suited to each other. Were I dead, you would discover this.
Hubert, I beseech, I implore ye, cease this raillery. I deserve it not of ye. Make me not miserable, nor blight my life, my hopes, as thou hast blasted that youth's, whose evil genius thou hast proved. Persuade him to fly the country.
That you may fly with him. Beware, woman, how ye attempt to deceive me. My eyes shall probe every vein in your hearts until I have destroyed this passion to its smallest fibre. And now I command ye to admit Edmond Lennox. He's outside. Invite him in.
Hubert, I cannot see him. I will not see the man who has darkly accused my husband and sought to make him a criminal. I will not see him.
Grace, thou shalt admit him. Aye, and love him too. And I will look on you, and behold ye exchange amorous glances. I will see ye both pine and waste away, and gradually sink under the effects of your deep-rooted passion, and yet not fear dishonour. I confide in thy uprightness of principle, and in the steadfastness of his honour.
Hubert, I shall sink. I shall die if you go on thus. For heaven's sake, in mercy, explain this horrid, horrid riddle.
Grace, Edmond is innocent. Shrink not from me, but look in my face, Grace. I am a criminal. I committed the crime he charged me with, and revealed it to him. I could not help it then, nor can I now. I am. Yes, I am a murderer.
O thou demon of hypocrisy, of blood, of deep, deep guilt. Touch me not, thou wilt leave a scarlet stain upon me.
Am I afraid of stains? See, my hands are as clean as thine. Shall I bid thy lover enter? He awaits in an adjoining apartment.
Sir, you may tell Mr. Lennox that I shall feel honoured by his presence.
Madam, your commands are obeyed.
Mr. Lennox. Edmond. I am rejoiced to bid you welcome again to this house. Think no more of the past. All is explained. My husband has, since that interview with Dame Humphreys, been unsettled in his mind, and in a frantic mood, resulting from the accusation of Dame Humphreys, told you what he did. Edmond, I acquit ye of all evil intent, and if my esteem is in your eyes worth that of the world, I assure ye that, as a friend, you shall ever hold the finest place in my affection.
Oh, Grace, let me kiss your hand.
Oh, I suddenly feel quite faint.
Here, sit down, wife.
You've been listening to part 2 of Grace Clairville, or The Crime at Simmons' Yacht. It was written 150 years ago by Alexis Lewis. It featured Mary Antony as Grace Clairville, Abraham Buckoke as Hubert Edgecombe, James Messer as Edmond Lennox, James McClelland as Obadiah Proverb, Holly Rose Hawgood as Bridgit Sykes and Mabel Humphreys. It was adapted and produced by Abraham Buckoke for the Red Curtain Club, with great thanks to Daniel Kleinman, Judith Kleinman, Peter Buckoke and Harry Buckoke.